You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the last part 6 of our MLS teams previews. We got the final 5 teams, the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference, and we got 5 guests joining us for that. And we're going to start up in NYC with the defending Eastern Conference champs, but the runner-ups in the Eastern Conference. I got Chop Cheese FC. Nico, what's going on, man? How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, Daniel? Thank you for having me, man. It's going good.
Yeah, man.
Finally,
NYCFC is those teams that are just somehow they don't sign big names after the whole Davija, Pirlo, Lampard experiment kind of went nowhere. After that, they kind of stopped going after that big name, but they managed to stay consistent and competing every year in the playoffs. But just talking 2025, could you give me just 60 seconds or less a recap of 2025?
I mean, I would say we went into 2025 with a lot of questions, and we had a new coach in Pascal Janssen, and we had no idea what was going to happen. Santi left. It was a lot going on, but the boys persisted, and we had a top 5 seed, and we made ourselves a little run in the playoffs. But the signing of Nico Fernandez and Maxi Morales is just unbelievable what he's doing at 39 years old, at 38, or Alonso Martinez scoring all those goals. I mean, all these things it all led in our favor, and it was absolutely an incredible ride. And unfortunately, it ended in Miami, but I would definitely say it shattered a lot of people's expectations from what we had in the probably prior to that season.
Well, and it was house money, right? Because I don't think many people expected much from NYCFC last year. At least definitely not a deep playoff run like you guys had. Going into this season, I think you guys surpassed expectations. So after a season like that, did you guys lose anybody that you felt like, okay, this is going to be a big hit? That's a big loss.
I mean, probably the obvious one is Justin Hack, but I think he went on to bigger and better things, and we signed Kai Trewin from Melbourne City, so that'll definitely help ensure the back line as well, the center defensive mid role. So, I mean, we'll just see what happens. But, I mean, Julian Fernandez went on loan. That's fine. Obviously, having players injured like Alonso Martinez and Andres Perea, I think is more. Yeah, those hurt more than any players that departed specifically. But
how long Alonso Martinez supposed to be out?
It could be all season, probably like August, September he comes back, maybe. If we're lucky. Okay. So that's what I hope the best case scenario works out.
We're going to have a prediction show. If anybody's interested in joining a prediction show, we're going to have one probably tomorrow night. Last year's prediction show, we chose a dark horse for Golden Boot, and I chose Alonso Martinez. I thought he might win the Gold Boot. Didn't win it, but he was up there. I thought he had a season that I think went underappreciated. So, key additions to NYCFC over the offseason.
It was Kai Trewin we got, and also we got, that's really, who else did we sign? As of now, we were supposed to have that striker Silla, but we haven't really had any real major additions. We have Keen Parks coming back off an injury, which is huge. Hopefully he can stay healthy, especially with the health issue he had going on. It's weird because I don't know, maybe we'll sign someone, but as of now, we only have had like one real signing that has been an addition to the team. So,
and you guys also didn't you guys bring back Thales Magno?
Yeah, but he was on loan, so like that is an addition. And let's see. I hope he plays well. I believe especially under Pascal Janssen, I think NYCFC can reach the promised land. I believe in him and his leadership, and let's hope Thales plays well because I'm sure he wants to ball out so he can make a move back to South America, probably go back or go to Europe. So we'll see what happens.
MLS dropped their projected 11 for every team. Now, I know that for a lot of teams, they haven't been necessarily accurate. How accurate is the 11 that they dropped? They say that they're going to play in the 4-2-3-1. They have Freeze, obviously the best goalie in the league. You got Martins and Gustavo at the center backs. I don't know how well you can see that, but
I mean, possibly, but I mean, who knows? We don't know. Thales Magno had a knock. He didn't play the last 2 preseason games. Usually Nico would be probably, yeah, he plays on the right. Hannes Wolf, yeah, it did. I don't think this is accurate because Hannes Wolf would probably be
Is
starting,
on the left?
but yeah, on the left. So
Yeah.
it is pretty accurate, but definitely not consistent with what we saw
Okay.
last year.
I hadn't noticed that they didn't have Wolf on there. It's a big. They're way
Yeah,
off.
that's correct.
Whatever AI they used, it was terrible for if you're gonna miss Hans Wolf on the left side. All right. So when I look at NYCFC as a roster, just the starting 11 or just the roster as a whole, what
Yeah.
player do you think won't live up to the expectations that other fan bases and just people in the MLS in general put on them?
Um, what about that?
Lack of a better word, who might be overrated?
It might be overrated. I would say actually a good question. I can't really think of any player specifically who's overrated. In the past, I definitely could, but currently, who's on the roster?
What about
Maybe
Maxi
even
Morales?
maybe even Talis. No, Maxi Morales is not. No, absolutely not. That's a legend.
No,
Maybe
you
Talis
know,
Magno. Maybe Talis Magno's a little overrated, to be honest. From everything he was hyped up to what he was supposed to be, the next Neymar and stuff, and he definitely hasn't turned out to be that. So for sure, I would definitely say he's probably the most overrated. But he also has a lot to prove, so he could prove everybody wrong. But we'll see.
were people really comparing him to Neymar?
Yeah, bro. He was supposed to go to Arsenal before he got hurt. He was really like he was a
Oh,
big prospect. Yeah. Mhm.
I didn't realize that it was that level. Players to watch for. If somebody just randomly comes across an NYCFC game and they say Nico from Chop Cheese told me to watch out for this guy. Who's that guy that they should watch out for?
I would say probably Nico Fernandez, Medical. I mean, the dude's a beast. He came in midway through the season, so I mean, he assimilated the best way he could. He probably only had like 3 goals, I think. Two, I forgot how many assists, but I think with a full season under Pascal Janssen finally settling his feet into the club and the system, I'm expecting a big year from him, especially with Alonso Martinez unfortunately being out. I expect him to step up in a big time way because we're going to need his production the whole way through the season, and it's a long MLS season. So,
All right. So what are the expectations? Because last year you guys overachieved. What are the expectations for the fan base going into this season?
uh, similar, hopefully better. I don't see any reason why, especially if we're healthy, there's no reason why we can't win MLS Cup. I truly believe that, and I think a lot of the fans feel that. We have the best goalie in the league. We have an amazing coach. We have talented players. It's all about just keeping the boys together, and if we could just catch that rhythm, as long as we get in the playoffs and we get on fire. I mean, we've seen NYCFC do it before; they went all the way, so it wouldn't
Well, I
be the
think you guys
first
have the
time.
best. You have the best home field advantage of any team.
For now, yeah. But last year at home, funny enough, we actually had a pretty bad record, and we actually were better on the road, which is definitely strange for us because we're usually always pretty good at home. But
That has to be the
hopefully this
first time that ever
season,
happens for you guys.
no, well, definitely one of them. I don't think it's the only time, but definitely with Yankee Stadium and City Field, like this being next year being the last year we play in them officially with the shortened season. Definitely want to just enjoy those moments as fans because those will be the good old days that we'll talk about someday. And it's crazy that it's all going to come to an end, but I can't wait to have our own stadium.
Yeah, it's taken a while. All right, and then this is the Battered Network. We talk about battered moments because, for example, I'm a Jets fan, so it doesn't get more battered than that.
Yeah.
So, is there a battered moment for NYCFC fans, or for you in particular? You're like, man, that moment sucked, and I'll never forget it.
I mean, there's a couple, but I would say one in particular that I think most fans would agree with me that hurt the most was 2019 City Field. I think it was the divisional game against Toronto where we lost at City Field. Matarita had the penalty in the last second, and Toronto beat us 2-1. And I saw so many of my friends, and like we were all in tears that day. That one hurt. Losing to the Red Bulls in the playoffs was annoying, but it was whatever. I didn't really, but that Toronto one, we all thought we were gonna win the cup that year. So to have that like stab in the heart with that penalty in the last second, it sucked.
Matarita went overseas after that, no?
I forgot where he went after that, but yeah, he did for a bit. No, and then he was in Seattle. He was in Cincinnati. Went to a couple MLS teams as well.
Matarita was underrated. I like Matarita.
Yeah, he was good, but that'll always define his NYCFC career, unfortunately.
Well, Nico, I appreciate you taking the time to join me and talk some NYCFC. Let everybody know where they can find you if they want to hear more NYCFC coverage.
If you find me on Instagram at Chop Cheese FC, as well as YouTube, and TikTok, yeah, I just want to grow the culture of this club I love so much and the city I love, and I can't wait for us to get our stadium next year. It's going to be so epic, and definitely check it out. It's definitely a growing movement, so I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, you definitely could check him out on IG. That's where I came across his page. He had a lawn chair out in front of the new Etihad Stadium with his Timbs up on the snow. It's a fun follow, so make sure you check him out. And I appreciate you taking the time to join us. First time that we're on with us, and hopefully we can keep talking. We play each other in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully we could. You know, I'm probably gonna go down to Miami later in the season, but you know, hopefully we could get a little get back for the way you guys smacked us around in the Eastern Conference Finals, because you know, that one hurt.
Not as bad as Toronto, though.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I kind of expected Miami. Toronto, I didn't expect.
Jovenko was still in that team?
No, he wasn't. They still had Michael Bradley though, and Josie Altidore, and they had what's that dude's name? Alejandro Pozuelo, I think. Yeah, there was.
Pozuelo was the NYCFC killer, sir.
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm.
I remember he scored a brace against them when he was in Miami for a half a season.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Nico, again, I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and we'll be in touch.
No, absolutely, man. Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. So with that, Mr. KBD, I got a lot going on around me right now.
Yeah. I could see that.
And you can hear it in the background. There's a lot going on. So I am going to bow out for a little while, and I'm going to let you take over. It's unfortunate because I was looking forward to talking to my guy, Danny Brams, but I got to bow out of here because I got a lot of stuff going on. So appreciate you taking over. Danny Brams, fuck the crown. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, look, you just dismissed Danny Brams. Danny, look at the disrespect there.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not good enough, Chris. I don't know what it is, man. Danny he pieced out. He cares about his kids more than he cares about me. What the hell?
It's absolutely ridiculous. For the crown, baby. Guys, if you guys don't know, Danny Brams has been a longtime friend of the podcast. How's everything going, Danny?
Man, Chris, life is beautiful in Charlotte. I hope everyone can hear me. Thanks for everyone showing up. I brought, in honor of the first appearance of the season, I brought an old tradition back of drinking some wine straight from the bottle. We got a nice Cab Sauv here, 2023, I believe.
Nice. Okay. I'm
life
digging
is
it.
beautiful in Charlotte. I'm so excited for the season to come back around. The team has a lot of high hopes. My personal life is better than ever. Just got back from great vacation in Austin, Texas, my old hometown. Got to see some old friends. Went to Mexico about a month ago. So I'm living the good life, Chris. All inclusive, all damn day. And it's for the crown, baby. We got some breaking news. For a couple years, my friend John Hayes and I have been doing podcasting and YouTube content. We've called ourselves the Charlotte Soccer Show. But there's so many shows in Charlotte. There's like the Queen City Soccer Show, CLT Soccer Show, Charlotte Football Club Soccer Show, and all these other various soccer shows. We rebranded. We're Soccer City now. So if you follow our content, we're Soccer City. We still have the catchphrase for the crown, baby. But super excited about year 5 for this club, for our show, for our partnership, me and John. 2026. Let's do it, baby.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, let's just get started right here. I'll put the record up. You guys went
up. Let's go.
19-2-13. You guys sat at 4th in the East. And I mean, I guess we'll just get it started in 60 seconds or less. If you could just kind of give me an idea of what happened with Charlotte last season.
Are you about to put me on a clock here? Are you about to put me
Yeah,
on a clock?
right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
All right, already
right
started.
there.
Okay, so what Charlotte FC did last season was tie the MLS record for most wins in a row. Should have won it, but unfortunately, the club you just featured in this episode, just before this one,
Unfortunately.
NYCFC, ended our win streak, eventually knocked us out of the playoffs. The win streak came after a long losing streak. Charlotte FC went through a period where, after 10 matches, we were first place in the East, a serious contender, went through a long losing streak, and then got the MLS league record winning streak to fight our way back into playoff contention and finish top four. Wilfred Zaha came in as the first ever truly great player in club history as far as an outfield player to come in. At the DP level, had a great season. He's back at least until June this year. We shall see. We sold one of our greatest ever players, Patrick Ajimong, to the English Championship. Had a new young striker emerge in his place, Idonto Clamati, who just re-signed a new contract today and is poised to repeat his great success from last year.
Oh, you nailed the landing, my friend. I mean, it couldn't have been any more majestic. As far as the departures are concerned, because you talked a little bit about it, I guess who are some of the key departures? I mean, I looked at who's left, right? And there's some that have been could affect the team, but it doesn't seem like it's going to hurt too much.
Well, would you be interested in maybe a guy who's the greatest center back in the league last year, whether he won the awards or not? Adil Simalonda was absolutely a contender for to be considered the greatest center back in the league last year. He was sold to Middlesbrough in the English Championship. He's going to be in the Premier League someday, whether Boro gets promoted or whether Malanda is looked at as a reinforcement for another team in the bottom of the Premier League. Adil Simalonda will be in the Championship in the English Premier League next season. So that's got to be considered a key departure. Whether you think he was the best in the league or not, obviously that's some hyperbole and bias on my part, you could call it. But he's a great young player, and he was a great find by the Charlotte FC scouting department from the French Ligue 2, Ligue 2, if you will. And now he is in the English Championship. So he really locked it down. He's just a great, physically awesome player, imposing, tall, strong center back, just very built, wiry but thick. And then he just was really smart too. I mean, he was just a leader. He came to this club as a 21-year-old, I think, left as a 24-year-old, and grew into the role of just that backline general, barking orders, organizing things, supporting the goalkeeper, holding guys accountable, and by all accounts was just a wonderful human being and beloved by his teammates. So it's a massive departure, the key to our backline, especially when you look at a club. You put that record up there, and it was 2 draws, I think. Charlotte FC 3 draws. Charlotte FC just could not get a draw last year, and leaked a lot of late goals. And we Johnny and I have talked a little bit about on Soccer City this year already, as sort of this is a year to embrace the draw, move up the table, solidify position by turning losses into draws. It's something Charlotte's never been able to do, and that's going to be harder with Malanda gone for sure, because he's the backline general. So lack of organization or just new people that will have to emerge. Tim Ream is there now still, but he's a year older, and he's really focused on the World Cup. And after the World Cup, in the second half of the season, I don't know how much we're really going to truly be able to rely on Tim Ream. We'll see. I'm not going to put anything past him, because he's proven me wrong before as a Charlotte player and as a U.S. player. But Andrew Privet right now is a guy who looks to come in to fulfill Malanda's role, a guy who's been on the club. But really, there's no other departures to talk about. So if you want to move on to just arrivals, you could say that Henry Kessler is a guy who's coming. We brought in
That's
two
a good
guys
fill-in
on the back line to sort of provide depth. So Harry Kessler, Tim Ream, and Andrew Privet are kind of 3 guys competing for 2 center back spots. And then our fullbacks are still going to be Byrne and Toffolo, two Brits with Premier League and Championship experience. And then we brought in another left back, David Sneg, who's an Austrian player who played for DC United. He's got some MLS experience. So we brought some MLS tried and true tested depth to back up our sort of English starting lineup type players on the back line. And it's going to be interesting. The real key addition, though, obviously there's so much to happen on the back line, and we would love one more big center back signing. It may not happen until the summer window, so we'll see. And the World Cup's going to complicate all that, obviously. Maybe it could be, we've talked about how, this applies to all clubs, but with the World Cup, one of the most fun things about a World Cup is the aftermath of the World Cup and that next transfer window when all these players who made names for themselves are looking for new clubs. And a lot of times that's happening in European leagues, but it's going to happen in MLS too. And there's going to be guys, maybe not the super duper stars from the World Cup, but guys who emerge and make a name for themselves, become MLS targets. But as it is, we did make one key addition for Charlotte in the midfield this offseason. Luca De La Torre, brought him over from San Diego FC.
Huge.
He kind of lost his place a little bit out there. He was an everyday starter for the first half of the season for them, as far as I could see, and then sort of had to compete a little bit more for his place. And so he comes into our midfield. Speaking of the World Cup, looking to get on the pitch, looking to catch the eye of Pochettino so that he can make his way.
That's going to be critical for him.
Experience, but then he got kind of not. He was playing in Spain. He was playing in Belgium, and Holland. He was playing in Netherlands, not Belgium. He was playing in Netherlands. He was playing in Spain. He was in the U.S. men's national radar, and then all of a sudden he kind of falls out of that. He falls out of favor in Spain. Falls out of the U.S. camp. Comes to San Diego, helps them dominate and get off to a great start. Falls out there. So I don't know exactly what it is with him. I think people expect a little more from him sometimes than he's totally been able to give. Still a very quality player, a big-time acquisition that I think is going to take Charlotte FC's midfield to the next level. But, again, he's competing in a very tough spot because if you look at
there's a lot of competition. I don't know what you think.
I'm going to ask you this, Chris. Do you mind can I ask you a question? Can I
absolutely.
Philosophical question. Do you consider a guy coming back from an injury to be a new signing?
Well, it's essentially a nice push into the team that you sort of missed out on last season. So not technically a new signing, but it is sort of like a rejuvenation in ways. No.
Well, I agree, and it's the question applies in this case to Pep Biel, who was sort of a talismanic midfielder, really helped get things going and keep Charlotte alive in that early part of last season. He was an early season MVP candidate. Then he got hurt. Then he came back. Then he got hurt again. He wasn't a huge contributor during that win streak necessarily that I mentioned earlier. Although I think if I remember right, he did have some part to play in there. But eventually he was hurt for the playoff run and unable to contribute in the playoffs. So he comes back. He kind of is a new signing just in the fact that he went from a loan player to a permanent player. He's now a permanent Charlotte DP instead of being with us on loan. So that's good. So it kind of counts as a signing, I guess, if not an addition. So I bring him up because you got Pep Biel, and you've got Ashley Westwood, who's the captain of the club, who's sort of like that six, sitting back on top of the two center backs. And what's up, Jorge Torres? Glad to see you. He's one of the best Charlotte FC fans in the community, and he supports the battered fans as well. So it's good to see you here, Jorge. Westwood is sort of the starting six, captain, defensive mid, stalwart. Then you've got Pep Biel, who's the other midfielder who plays the 10 role, the creative attacking mid. And then you've got Brant Bronico, who sort of mixes in between. He plays in the next to Westwood. He fills in at a 10 when Pep was hurt, etc. But with Bronico, Westwood, Biel,
let's take a look at the starting 11, at least from what MLS projected here. So here is what MLS decided to put together. Some of them have been decent, not decent, very inaccurate. This is Charlotte right here. Does it seem like it fits? Maybe the formation is off. It's set as a 4-2 or 4-3-3 here.
I'd call that almost perfect, to be honest. I think it'll look different in and out of possession. I think it'll be a little bit amoeba-like at times. I think it's a beautiful lineup. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good for it. BL will be a little bit higher. I think, I would put him on the other side of the half line, but I don't know exactly what their graphic design elements are there. But where it has Luca De La Torre, the new signing, that's always been Brant Bronico's spot, right? And Bronico is just a guy who is the prototypical MLS journeyman, the try-hard who gets by more on like outworking people than outskilling them. But like 3 different coaches now in Charlotte have tried to get him out of the starting lineup, and 3 coaches can't take him out of the starting 11 because his metrics are just too good. The little sports bra-y things that all those players are wearing?
Yes.
The computer in the center that tells coaches how fast guys are running, how fast their heart's beating, how much ground they've covered, all that. Bronico consistently has the best numbers of that every single time. So it's hard for coaches to take him out. And he's not a bad player. It's just that he just doesn't pass the eye test of that classic guy. So, and he doesn't have the pedigree. So De La Torre, Bronico is a big battle in that spot. I do think Westwood, being a year older, his place in the team is guaranteed as the captain, but there's going to be times where it's BL, De La Torre, and Bronico, because I think Westwood starts to catch some sits this year more so than he did the last 2 years. And then the other thing, I'll let you jump in. 2 other things, actually, because they put Kessler. I would put Privet. Kessler has more MLS experience, but Privet has more Charlotte FC experience, so I put Privet there.
And that matters.
And then Vargas had a great start to the finish to last season. I know Jorge loves him as a parcero, a Colombian. And Vargas really came into his own and responds so well to coaching and works very hard on the defensive end as an attacking player, helps win the ball back. But that's a spot that's being fought for against a DP, Liel Abada, the Israeli former Celtic player who came in here with much fanfare 2 years ago and really has not adjusted as well as we'd want and has really kind of gotten worse over time. So that's the rundown on the starting 11. Sorry for being so verbose and just my inability to let you jump in, Chris. I'm going to drink some wine and tee you up and let you go off for a little while, King.
Awesome. No, listen, I mean, we're leading up into kind of what I wanted to ask. Listen, Charlotte FC is my 3rd favorite team in the MLS. Might move up to 2. Just don't tell Todd the God. Players to watch out for. You mentioned somebody that I would probably tell a generic fan just catching a Charlotte game, Corin Vargas, because I love him. Mm-hmm. But is there a specific player that you would say that guy is a guy you got to watch out for?
I mean, it's got to be Toklamati as far as still sort of being under recognized. Zaha is obvious, a household name in the soccer world.
Yeah.
And Pep Biel made a case for himself as an MVP candidate and was featured in a lot of, the Apple coverage last year. So I think he's a little more well-known. Idan Toklamati filling in for Patrick Ajimong, who hopefully is going to be back in the U.S. this summer, playing for the U.S. men's national team. But when he left to go to Derby County, people wondered, how could Charlotte let this guy go? This is like your diamond in the rough gem.
Yes.
24-year-old that you discovered, and you're just going to let him walk. And lo and behold, Idan Toklamati came in and increased the scoring pace. I think Patrick might have more assists, but Toklamati started creating and converting goals instantly. And just today signed a new contract. So he got a big old bag. So he's your player to watch because he delivered. He's not as well known as he could be. He's on the rising profile, but also just got paid. Is he going to have the same motivation? Is it going to be the willingness? He's so young that I don't think it's going to affect him, but you don't know if money goes to a guy's head, so who knows? But he's a hard worker. He's also someone who they never put out to press. I think he spent all of the last year and a half. I think he's still working on mastering and becoming conversationally fluent in English, He's such a young guy and didn't really have a lot of English training before he came here. So he never gets to talk to cameras. I'm really interested to that. Hopefully this is the year that we start to hear from Toklamati a lot more. And he had a couple great performances last year, including a hat trick where Zaha handed him the ball to take the penalty spot to get the hat trick. So you can tell his teammates love him, and they can't stop raving about him. So he's the player to watch. And if Charlotte FC is going to be great, he needs to continue scoring goals at the pace that he finished last year, for sure.
Well, I mean, speaking of expectations, right? I mean, you mentioned Toklamati and his expectations, but who do you think is a player that might not live up to expectations? I don't want to say overrated, but someone that the fan base or fans in the MLS have a high expectation for, and they might not fit the bill.
Well, I mean, the expectations are sky high for Wilfred Zaha, and this is a guy who's technically a lone player right now. So is he distracted with his contract? Is he distracted with what's next? Does he really want to be here? After June, is he going to make the Ivory Coast squad? Is he going to be playing in the Cup? Is he going to be staying in the U.S. for that? If he doesn't come to an agreement, they talked about they were going to try to have him locked up before the season started. He went on in front of a microphone about a month ago and said, hey, after preseason is when the money talk really starts to heat up about trying to get something done for a long term, because he said he likes it here. It's just a matter of if they get the deal done. So we'll see. But he certainly seems very content. He said his son loves it here. When the family loves it, that's good. He said his son loves the schools, loves living in Charlotte. That's clutch. That helps our cause.
Oh, yes.
But, he's been a player who's had ups and downs before. So his expectations are so high that it's going to be tough to live up to them. I personally have so many concerns about the back line. Also, Kalina, you know how it is. Goalkeepers can be very mercurial. They can have ups and downs. He's had 2 back-to-back
Yes.
seasons as he's probably, if he was officially was the goalkeeper of the year 2 years ago and was close. He was in the running. He wasn't a finalist, but he should have been, in my mind, a finalist last year. And so after a 2-year run of dominance, can we count on our goalkeeper to match our expectations? That's never something you can count on if you watch soccer long enough. You know, goalkeepers, unless they're Manuel Neuer, they tend to rise and fall. So yeah, it's tough. But other than those are the 2 people that I would say is Kalina and Zaha are the ones to worry about. BL, I think, is going to deliver and only improve. Vargas, I think, will continue to improve. Toklamati could go down, but the one I worry most about is Zaha.
And that's fair because, I mean, Zaha came in and he's a DP. There's a lot of expectations out of him. And sort of speaking of expectations, right?
Well,
go ahead.
Do you mind putting up Jorge's most recent comment there? I just want to respond to that because he says Abada has a lot to prove. Yeah, the problem is Abada's expectations are in the dirt. No one has any expectations for Abada. So we're hopeful.
Easier
Anything we get
standards
from him
to
at this
meet.
point is a bonus.
Yeah, I could see that. As far as expectations, though, I mean, like I said, you guys ended up, I guess, sitting really, really well in the East and 4th, and made it to the playoffs, lost against NYCFC. What are the expectations this year? I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I think you guys are going to be a top 3 team in the East. Where do you guys see yourself sitting? Do you guys see yourself competing, if not winning multiple trophies? What's the idea here?
I love the sound of multiple trophies. Definitely, anytime you're talking about that, I think is a good thing. I saw a range of predictions on the MLS, the Apple season pass talent. Sasha Kleshtin and one other person who I forget, I can't pull their name in a second, had Charlotte as high as 2nd in the East. A few others had them down in 6th.
I could see that.
So I will put it this way: the team expects to win the East. If you look back for the last 2 years, Dean Smith getting here has set expectations, and they've been met both times. He said his first year, the expectation was make the playoffs, and just barely they made the playoffs. And then the second year, we need to be top 4. We need to host playoff series, and they just barely, with a record win streak, they pulled that off. Then they choked and lost the series, even with playing 2 matches at home. And Zaha was suspended for the first game and all that stuff. Yeah. But they did achieve their goal. This year they've come out and said the goal is to win the East. So if you take them as 2 for 2, they've achieved their stated goal in the preseason. Then it's
odds
win the
might
East.
work in your favor.
I agree. I would like to think that means supporters shield. I think winning the East and winning MLS, I think, should be the goal. I think if you reach for the stars, and even if you fail, you'll fall amongst the clouds, or whatever they want to say about that.
Yes.
If we set our sights on winning the East and end up finishing top 4, I don't think anyone will be disappointed. So that would be good. But we also have to move on. Whether you win the East or not, you have to move on to the second round of the playoffs, because losing the play-in game, losing 2 straight first-round series to Orlando 2 years ago and then NYC last year is just not sitting well with the fans. We need some postseason success.
Well, and
our guys will tell you there's such a British influence in Charlotte FC, right? British manager, British captain, British starting fullbacks. Like it's crazy. It's one, and Tim Ream played over there forever. It's like one of the most British clubs in MLS, and they will tell you that they feel the Supporters Shield and the MLS Cup have literally nothing to do with each other. All the British guys here will say over and over again that MLS Cup is just a separate tournament. It's a different thing that you do at the end of the year, and the support and I think most soccer fans do understand that to agree, but it's what I'm saying is it's like
it is very different.
That philosophy is like fundamental here at Charlotte FC. So whether you appreciate that or like that or not, they're not going to, like, for me as a fan, an American fan, I can say, well, it doesn't matter where we finish in the table because we got to have postseason success. For everyone inside the club, those are 2 completely different worlds. So that not every club feels that exact way, I don't think.
Well, and just to finish everything off here, Danny, as fans of our teams, we all have battered moments that we faced, things we don't want to remember more than once. What's a battered moment that you've lived through in terms of being a Charlotte FC fan? I mean, in the short history.
Yeah, I mean, there's many. Every time Enzo Capetti got the ball in an attack and kicked the ball out of bounds was always a battered moment. But thankfully, that was many years ago. If we want to talk about the most battered moment, I'm going to take it to a personal story because that's what I really know how to do.
Nice.
And it was a really rough moment from last year, and it was one of those ones that could have spiraled us if it wasn't for the team rallying. This was a game way back in June of last year. Johnny and I, my co-host John Hayes, best friend here in Charlotte, he and I, we go to all the Charlotte matches, we do the shows together, and he's from Philadelphia. So we decided to go up to Philly for like a start of summer sort of weekend or whatnot. And we, I think it might have been Father's Day weekend, right? It was June 12th, June 14th, I think.
That was a month before I went to Charlotte.
Yeah, so we went to Philly, and Johnny sprung for great seats for himself, his dad, and me. And we went as a trio. And we had a great time, and we were VIP treatment. We had we were in the sort of the VIP area of the stadium beforehand. We were sitting literally right behind the Charlotte bench. Like I could reach down and touch the subs, all that kind of stuff. It was great. These great seats, very cool stadium, Subaru Park in Philly. And we went down 1-0 on a really great goal by Jesus Bueno, I think. Like a screamer from the top of the box, and we're struggling. And then Zaha scores this crazy good equalizer really late in the match. And I just, how Philly sports fans are by reputation. So they'd been kind of rough to us or whatever, the whole game. They've been talking a lot of trash. And so I jumped up and I was like, yeah, motherfucker, like F-bombs. And like so happy that Zaha had scored this equalizer. And Zaha's looking up at the stands and doing this number. And then, I was so over exuberant in my celebrations and so kind of, profane in my language choices that Johnny's dad, he's a dignified older gentleman. He also doesn't want to start fights with Philly fans because he lives there. He knows how Philly fans can be. Even he's kind of looking at me like, Johnny's like, you're kind of pissing my dad off here. So I apologize for that. But we had equalized and we're going to get a point out of Philly on the road. This is great, but we're saving our season here in the mid-year before it goes off the rails. And then we're joking around. And we're joking, we're loving it, and we're yelling at Dino because I have this I think Dino, there's no way he knows my name, but he probably sees my face and I've talked to this guy before. That's probably the level of acquaintance that we're on. And so he saw us in the stands. He goes, hey guys, thanks for making the trip. The ball's out of bounds, and he's just kind of farting around. It's we got our point. We're just it's extra time. We're just waiting for the game to end, And he looks it up, and he kind of just he acknowledges us, which we thought was great for a manager to make acknowledgement to the away fans, whether he knows them or not. I think was a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then there's some piddly throw in, and we're just Philly's gonna throw the ball in, and then the whistle's gonna blow, and we'll get out of here with our point that we got with a brilliant Zaha golazo. It's great, right? And then what happens? Bing, bing, bing. Philly scores some ridiculous, stupid little tap-in goal because, our defender gave it away, with a minute left. And it was so deflating because then the Philly fans are, raining down all their, a renewed course of insults on my shoulders. They're all pissed that we had such good seats as away fans, So, it was great. And it wasn't anything that was dangerous or anything, but they definitely they gave me a lot of shit, and I deserved a lot of shit. So it was just, for me, that was my most battered moment as a fan of thinking we had rescued this point. And Jorge's throwing some good candidates out there as well. The first time we made the playoffs, we squeezed in as the 9 seed. The first time MLS did that wild card, and we had to go play New York Red Bulls, and we were down 3-0 at halftime, and we lost 5-2, and it was just horrible. And we were so hyped, and it was just game was over instantly. And then,
but your story was beautiful. I mean, that it brings a battered moment as a fan watching the team. And
I'll never forget that. The goal. I'll never forget equalizer. Dean says, "What up?" And then we lose. It's just bing, bang, boom.
Completely mortifying. Danny, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you.
And bringing the pain for Charlotte FC. Let everybody know where they can find you and all the good stuff you do.
It's Soccer City, at Soccer City CLT on YouTube, on Instagram, Threads. Our catchphrase is "For the Crown, baby." We sign off every episode so that ended up as our Twitter X handle long ago. So at "For the Crown, baby" on the biggest social media site. But join us on Threads. We actually have more followers on Threads on a lot of things. We do Blue Sky, but that don't pay too much attention there. But YouTube's the way to go. Soccer City CLT on YouTube, please. We're trying to get those numbers up, so we can be like you, man. What can I say?
Let's do it. We got to do it all together, baby. Thank you so much, Danny, for coming on, and we'll link up soon.
Yeah, can't wait, man. I hope you make it to Charlotte this year, and we'll keep doing episodes. I will literally come sit with you guys any single time that I don't have something else going on. So please, I hope you invite me back.
All right, for sure. We'll get something together for sure. All right. Well, that was Danny Brams to talk a little bit of Charlotte. Now we're gonna go north, and we're gonna bring on Justin Blair, aka Jamaican Justin.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Welcome back. How's everything going, brother?
It's going good. We're actually FC Cincinnati is actually finishing up a CONCACAF Champions Cup match as we speak right now. So I'm kind of dual threat right now. Like I have the phone out tweeting. I'm also trying to type up an article. So back.
Oh my goodness!
Mid-season form already.
I'm sure. Look, Todd is in the background right now, and he looks like he is sweating, probably working on an article or something back there as well, because Philly totally defecated on the defense force today. Yeah. In case anybody was wondering,
not much of a defensive force for sure.
Not real. And I'm really rooting for Trinidad and Tobago teams because they have the most interesting names. But again, we're not going to talk about Trinidad and Tobago League. We'll leave that for another day. Justin, let's get started on this preview here. Over here, I put down the record you guys had, 25-9, and you guys finished second in the East. And basically, your fate arrived against none other than Inter Miami, and it was a tough loss for you guys. But look, you could do this better than I can. Go ahead and just give me 60 seconds of what exactly happened with Cincinnati.
So obviously it started off with FC Cincinnati trying to replace Lucho Acosta, their longtime talisman, departing the team. They brought in Evander. They brought in Kevin Dinke for a record signing of $16 million. They were both players throughout the season were able to compete towards the Golden Boot. I think Evander ended up with, I believe it was 15 goals, and Dinke ended up with 16 goals. So they had successful seasons. The season was just marked with, one score wins. I mean, out of our 20 wins, we won 16 of those by 1 goal advantages. So it was not the firepower that we were expecting and hoping for. But yes, like you said, we did. We come 1 point short against Philadelphia in the Supporters Shield, and we came up 4 scores short against Inter Miami in the MLS Cup Eastern Conference semifinal.
Well, and as far as like Cincinnati is concerned, they've had some key departures and some key additions. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying this. I feel like even though it feels like you had a lot more, I guess, critical departures, I don't feel like you guys are in that much dire need for replenishing players. But go ahead and let us know exactly some of the key departures that left Cincinnati.
Yeah, so one of the biggest one for most FC Cincinnati fans is going to be the departure of it was not really a departure, it was a loan that expired on Brenner. Brenner was obviously 19 goal scorer back in 2022, left the club in the summer of 2023, has been in Italy for a while, came back to FC Cincinnati last year, kind of took up where he left off, and I think it was 7 appearances. He had 5 goals. So he was a goal scoring machine immediately for FC Cincinnati. And for the club to not pick up purchase option on that was kind of disappointing for most fans. But I think the price tag that Udinese wanted was just a little unrealistic. Yeah. Luca Resciano departed the club. He was our left wing back, de facto replacement for an permanently on loan Alvaro Barriel, so another Argentinian left back. Had a great 2024 campaign. In 2025, he just disappeared. Just did not have that magic that he had when he was kind of paired up with Lucho Acosta. And then longtime player Yu Kubo has been kind of the Swiss Army knife for FC Cincinnati. A guy
That
that's
one
been able
sucks.
to plug and play anywhere on the field. He literally played every position at one point other than
Yes.
goalkeeper. So Kubo was brought in as a forward in 2021, or I'm sorry, 2020, and unfortunately his time for FC Cincinnati's come a little bit short of his expectations, but I think there's no ill will, and I think he'll go down as one of those players that a lot of the fan base will always remember as a club. I wouldn't say legend, but definitely a fan favorite.
Oh, absolutely. I love those kind of players. I mean, Corey Baird is another one that I believe ended up leaving at some point. No, that's
at the end of the season, FC Cincinnati kind of declined
Yeah.
to pick up his contract.
is up. Now,
Yeah.
as far as additions, you guys did re-sign players, and then you also added a couple players. I felt like some of the additions were a little bit more depth piecey instead of
Mhm.
like big names. I mean, give us a couple of key additions that joined Cincinnati.
The main addition that we brought in was, again, trying to go back to what had been working for FC Cincinnati in 2023 and 2024, and that was a solid left wing back. So we went out in Ecuador and competed with some European clubs to bring in Ryan Ramirez from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I'll just say the initials LDU. So he's got a lot of names calling for him. He's a kind of one of those guys that's a speedy player. It's natural on the left foot. He's one of the guys that are really going to unlock what FC Cincinnati missed all of last season, is that ability to deliver the box into the box vertically. And so that's going to hopefully help in a lot of positions. And then, of course, FC Cincinnati signed MLS. I'm going to call him a legend at this point, Tom Barlow, who is kind of one of the meme lords of the MLS. And Tom obviously not the most prolific goal scorer as the forward position, but the man has a lot of experience, and you can never count out his effort in that. And actually tonight against O&M FC in front of 40 fans, Tom Barlow opened up the scoring in FC Cincinnati's 2026 campaign. So that was pretty funny.
It is going to be funny. I can't wait to watch the highlights a little later. As far as like tactics and formation goes, I'm going to go ahead and post here what MLS ended up posting for FC Cincinnati. I'm just trying to locate it here. Bear with me just a couple of moments. Here it is. It's over here on the left of the screen. They're setting it up as if it's like a 3-5-2 here.
Yep.
I don't know how accurate this is because the AI has been a little brutal lately for some teams. Does this seem fairly accurate?
Yes, it is 100% accurate. But to be honest with you, apart from the very first game of Pat Noonan in 2022, they've been running a 3-5-2. They've had a couple of times where they've dibbled and dabbled with like a sword formation, where there's one striker up top and a 2-2-2-3. But it's primarily been a 3-5-2 since we got blitzed by Austin FC in 2022. So this is accurate, and I think that those lineups match pretty well. If you remember, Ender Echenike, speed demon out there on the right wing. And then now you got Ramirez as well, another fast-paced left wing back, more naturally left-footed. So we're not worried about cut in and causing too much traffic up top. I mean, this is a solid lineup for FC Cincinnati. And assuming that Echenike's visa gets cleared and Matt Miazga's knee stops swelling, a year, like it's more than a year. It's a year and a half now that we've been dealing with Matt Miazga's injury.
Wow.
So it would be very nice to get our one of our Max Tam guys back.
Well, and it's good that you mentioned him because he could actually be a person that we could watch out for. But,
Mhm.
like I asked Danny, just a casual fan comes on, checks out a Cincinnati game. Who is it that you would tell that person, this guy, not a household name, but this guy is the guy you got to watch out for. He's going to pop out on the screen.
Well, right on cue, he just scored his second goal of the game. Jabari. I think
Nice.
IU Jabari is definitely going to be a player that you have to look out for. It's an extremely raw player, right? He comes from, he's a Moroccan forward, very tall, very lengthy, good athleticism. He's got like all the intangibles, but you can definitely tell he's a foot behind, a step behind
Yeah.
every one of the plays. But Jabari, I think, will have a great season again with the departure of Brenner. Came over the summer. Brenner came over at the same time. He just didn't get the minutes. FC Cincinnati liked what they saw enough to pick up his purchase option outside of his loan. So Jabari looks to be the guy that's going to be the feature forward right next to Dinke.
Well, and I want to ask this question, and I'm going to ask it very sensitively without being or showing biasness, right?
Mhm.
Who's a player that will not live up or that's seen that may not live up to the expectation in terms of the fan base or in terms of MLS fans? And why is it going to be Evander? Because at some point it has
It's not
to
going to
be,
be
right?
Evander, Brand. It's not going to be. Evander's going to have another. He's not going to have that good of a season. I mean, if there wasn't a guy named Messi in the league, he may have won the MVP award.
May have.
But yeah, there was a couple other good performances out there. But I personally, I have to go with Miles Robinson yet again. I think that Miles Robinson is a solid player, no doubt about it. For the money that we're paying for him,
Yes.
I just don't think he's ever quite hit stride since that injury before the World Cup. And that's not a USMNT thing. That's just in league. We saw him plenty with Atlanta United and way worse talent around him at Atlanta United during the no disrespect, Tommy. I know you're watching, but I don't think they were defensive pedigree was quite as high as having a Miazga or having Obina Nwobodo in front of him. He just has not had his step. He makes careless mistakes. He's he's not sure of how to set lines and what stuff. Now, without having injuries to Matt Miazga and having a rotation of players playing around him in a 3 center back system might have a lot to do with that. But you would think with less field to cover, he would be a little bit more on top of his man. But I just haven't seen it. So I'm going to say Miles Robinson for me personally.
Well, and speaking of, I guess, in terms of expectations and things that we got to look out for, you guys sat in second place. You guys made the playoffs, obviously, and got up to the conference semis. What are sort of the expectations in terms of where you think you're going to sit in the standings? Are you guys anticipating winning a trophies? Like, what's the perspective here from the fan base?
If you were to, I mean, there's always going to be that one fan, right?
Yeah,
we're winning everything all the time,
yes.
every time. But I think the fan base, it's kind of been a quiet offseason. There hasn't been those big splash signings, nothing to really get excited about. You're just hopeful that some of the things click internally in this team. I think for the most part, I think fans are looking at Inter Miami and saying, they just got better, but we haven't really improved that much. And we saw how far away we were when we went and played, that we hosted them in the playoff match. So it'd be hard for any FC Cincinnati fan to realistically look at it and say, one, we're winning a Supporters Shield over Miami, or two, we're going to be able to get past Inter Miami. So I think it's pretty reasonable for FC Cincinnati fans to kind of not necessarily expect a similar result to last year, a second place Supporters Shield finish, Eastern Conference semifinal. CCC is what it is, right? Like FC Cincinnati, for whatever reason, every time this is our third participation, and the first two, we really, really crap the bed at home. in the first leg, and we each time in the second leg we pull it back. It looks like we might actually sneak through, but it's just we don't do ourselves any favors. We tie a lot to the Liga MX teams, and it looks like we have Tigres in the second round if we get past OEM with a 4-goal advantage. So,
and it's possible. I mean, look, you're bringing up a couple battered moments. So, as a fan and a person that's followed FC Cincinnati for a while, give us a battered moment that you've sort of experienced yourself as, you know, following and watching this team.
I mean, there's no bigger battered fan moment than watching your rival lift the Eastern Conference Final trophy on your field after you won the Supporters Shield. Is watching Lucho and Barriel. This is 2023 for those that don't know. Watching Lucho and Barriel laying on the field, barely able to get up and walk. I mean, they couldn't even walk in the extra time.
They were just gassed.
It was so deflating to watch because we had a 2-goal advantage in that game, and then just to watch, you know, Cucho Hernandez and they just ate us up in the extra time, and FC Cincinnati fans unfortunately had to sit there for 30 minutes and just soak it in.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's terrible. It's something you don't want to remember more than once. Justin, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you.
Let everybody know where they can be able to find you and everything that you do.
Sure. Yeah, you can find all of the great folks at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com or at Cincy Soccer Talk on social media. We do three shows, podcast shows. We do various different leagues within the Cincinnati area. We'll cover a whole lot of soccer. If you're nuts about soccer and you want to know what's going on in the Midwest, specifically Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, check us out sometime.
Guys, get your in-depth coverage there at Cincy Soccer Talk. Again, Justin, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll link up pretty soon. It was a pleasure. All right. So that was Justin. Talked a little bit of Cincy. And last but not least, because we got 2 more of these, but we're going to go to another guest. And it's one of my favorite guests. Of course, we got to bring on Todd the God to talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Union. Todd, it's been way too long. Happy New Year, by the way, and how are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. I hope you enjoyed your time in Philadelphia and New York City with your family at the start of the new year, I believe it was. So, yeah, it's nice to hop back on here with you, and I'm happy that it's not with Danny and it was with Chris. So Danny set the whole thing up, and I was like expecting Danny, and oh, surprise, surprise, here's Chris leading the charge. So thank you.
Well, look, Danny is swamped today, and he disappeared. He's still in the backstage. So if he's hearing you, I guarantee he's running downstairs now because he's going to jump on just to be in a butt about it. But let me go ahead and just go over these numbers over here on the side. Your record, Philadelphia Union's record was 26-8. You guys were sitting first in the league. Now, I mean, look, you could do this better than I can. I'll give you 60 seconds, though. Give me a recap of what happened in 2025 with the Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, the 2025 Philadelphia Union, they entered the season with a brand new head coach in Bradley Cornell, who came over from St. Louis City after being let go in 2024. Philadelphia Union got off to a flying start to start 2025, beating Orlando City 4-2, beating FC Cincinnati 4-1, and then they beat New England. And so Philadelphia Union, they just continue to steamroll teams and continue to hang around throughout the season. The Union eventually brought in Milan Alaski from Denmark, who was on loan in San Diego. San Diego couldn't come to an agreement. You saw the Union just get off to a flying start with Milan Alaski in the second half of the season. The Union suffer a huge loss to Quinn Sullivan towards ACL against DC United
Brutal.
towards the end of the season in September. And then the Union just continued to stay in first place and eventually win the Supporters Shield.
Well, and the funny thing is, you mentioned winning the Supporter Shield, and it feels like that's a curse at times. And it's rough because you want it, but at the same time, you don't want the curse that comes along with it. Now, as far as like some movement off season, you've had some departures, you've had additions. From my point of view, from an outsider's perspective, I feel like you've had a lot of departures. Let us know who exactly has Philadelphia lost, whether it's just, to not agreements or lost off of other circumstances.
Yeah, I would say by far the biggest loss that the Philadelphia Union suffered in the offseason was selling Kai Wagner to English Championship side Birmingham City, which I should remind the fans here in the comments that since Kai's been with Birmingham City, they've yet to lose a game. Yes, I know they lost some penalty kicks to Leeds United, but is that really losing a game? I mean, you draw 1-1 and penalty kicks are a crapshoot. So Kai Wagner's been one of the best left backs since 2019. You can make a case that he has been the best left back in MLS since 2019. I would go on and say that Kai Wagner is the greatest Philadelphia Union player ever. Joined back in 2019 from the third division in Germany, and the rest is history with Kai. I mean, the amount of assists that this guy just earned in his time in Philadelphia, left the Philadelphia Union as the all-time leading assister, a two-time MLS Best 11 player. Has been up for Defender of the Year twice. Unfortunately, not winning either one of those times. With Tristan Blackman winning it last year, I think it probably should have went to Kai Wagner just because of how terrific he was for the Union, both offensively and defensively.
Insane.
You also lose Jacob Glesnes, or I should say trade Jacob Glesnes to LA Galaxy, which I understand why the Philadelphia Union did this, because back in 2024, the Union absolutely wanted to move on from Jacob Glesnes due to a horrific season that he had, but nobody would take him on because of his high salary. And so the Union under Bradley Cornell said, you know what, we're going to give you a chance again. And he pretty much reinvented himself, got back to his old self, but he's 31 years old. And I don't disagree with the Union moving on from him, because he's been a player that's dealt with a lot of groin injuries in his career with the Union. And the older you get, injuries are going to keep catching up to you. So good deal for the Union to get $1 million in GAM from LA Galaxy. They lose Mikael Uwart on a free to Michelin in Denmark. He leaves as the third highest all-time leading goal scorer, I believe, for the Philadelphia Union, third or fourth. And yeah, I mean, Mikael was a hard-working player. When they brought him in back in 2022 from Brøndby in Denmark, he was then the highest transfer fee paid by the Philadelphia Union, a little bit over $2 million. Since then, it's been broken twice by the club. Wow. But the other big loss, I think maybe some fans around MLS would say, would be Ty Barrero. I would argue that that's not a big loss for the Philadelphia Union at all, which may be shocking just because he led the club in goals last year with 16 in MLS. But we can get into Ty a little bit later. But those would be the four big departures from the club this offseason.
And then you guys had some other additions during the offseason as well. Who are some of the additions, I guess, that you believe will make a difference this season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should first talk about the highest paid transfer paid by the Philadelphia Union now, Ezekiel Alade, who scored on his debut tonight in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Defense Force. Header from Frankie Westfield crossing in, who started the game at left back. The Union paid $4.5 million for the 20-year-old Ghanaian striker, who it was reported that the Philadelphia Union beat out multiple championship clubs, including Leicester City, for his signature, and he decides to come to MLS and join the Philadelphia Union. You look at the latest signing that they had just signed from Boston River in Uruguay, Augustin Anello, who is Miami born actually, and he looks to be a good key contributor. Made his debut in preseason against CF Montreal, got an assist in the first 45 minutes on a goal scored by Milan Olaski. They also brought in Jeff Siri Larson from Brann in Norway, 25-year-old Danish center back, or sorry, Norwegian center back. Norwegian, I was Danish, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring him in from Scandinavia, and he'll fill in as what's to be expected as the starting center back for the Philadelphia Union. And then they also brought in Gainer Martinez, another center back from Juventus down in Uruguay, 23-year-old Colombian center back who I do expect plays a significant amount of minutes this season, but the expected partnerships going to be Aluethu Makanya, who I would argue had the bigger season out of Kai Wagner and Jacob Glesnes last season, but Makanya doesn't even get mentioned as a finalist for Defender of the Year. Maybe should have been up there for Young Player of the Year as well, but that's neither here or there. And then I would say they brought in some other prospects like a Finn Sundstrom, who is an up and coming center back. Played last season with North Carolina and the USL. I think Finn probably fits in long term more so as a defensive midfielder as opposed to center back. He came up actually as a kid in the academy down in North Carolina as a striker. So he's just moving further and further back in his professional career. But like I said, I expect as it gets maybe a little bit older, maybe to fill in as a defensive midfielder. But those would be the key additions that the Union have made so far.
Well, and I want to bring up the projected starting 11 that the MLS put up. They put it as a 4-4-2 here. Does this look fairly accurate here? Are there players that are missing, maybe out of place?
Yeah, as things stand, I mean that's pretty accurate. Technically, it's a 4-2-2-2, but 4-4-2 essentially the same thing.
Yeah. So that looks pretty accurate. I mean, Jean Jacques is one of my favorite players on the team. I love him. I guess which brings me up to players that we could watch out for. Now, that's just me as an outsider. Who would you tell a fan that's just catching a Philadelphia Union game, which happens to be my second favorite team in the MLS, by the way? Who would you tell them to watch out for?
You know, it's funny you say that, Chris, because we recently had Daniel Solana on the podcast, and he also said Philadelphia is one of his favorite teams. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Philadelphia is converting more and
Danny's
more
sitting in the
money.
background and he's listening to all of this, and he's probably breathing in pain.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the running joke is Danny's a Orlando City fan, but maybe he'll come on board too and become a Union fan, since it seems like the Union are recruiting one person at a time. So
Yes,
I would say a player. I mean, there's so many players to highlight to pay attention to, but I'll say Bruno Damiani. Yes, I think on paper a lot of people are going to say Ezekiel Alado, highly thought after prospect. Like I said, he was linked to multiple clubs in the championship in England. And so that alone should put a lot of hype on him. But yeah, I'll go with Bruno Damiani, who scored 7 goals last season in MLS for the Union. And his XG was almost 13. This save by Sean Johnson that I keep playing in my head in Toronto. I don't know how Sean saved it, but Damiani should have had double-digit goals. But there was just multiple instances last year where the goalkeeper played out of their mind and kept the ball out one way or another. So Damiani is expected to be the main striker this season, leading the line. Didn't really have to do that too much last year with Ty Rebo being so hot in the start of the season. But yeah, I think Damiani is a player that fans in MLS should really pay attention to and get used to, because I think he'll have a huge season this year for the Union. Scoring 16 to 17 goals, I would expect in MLS this season, just because this team got younger this offseason. There's a lot of speed in this team, which they didn't have that much of last season, and that can only help a player like Bruno Damiani.
Well, and as far as players that might not live up to the expectations, who do you think is a player that might not fit the bill this season, or at least what's expected of them?
Nobody. I don't know. I think the Philadelphia Union are one of the most underrated teams in MLS, so it's hard to say
That's fair.
who might not live up to expectations, because I think when you look at the national media, the union aren't talked about. You look at fans around MLS, the union aren't talked about. So no, I don't know that there is necessarily anybody that won't live up to expectations, just because the national media and
There's
MLS fans don't really place any hype
have an
on the union.
expectation. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And now, as far as expectations are concerned, it's very hard to go higher than you did without counting the MLS Cup, right? You guys sat first in the league. Do you guys see yourself fitting, of course, in like one of the top 4 slots in the standings? Do you guys maybe see yourselves winning a trophies? What are sort of the expectations, I guess, within the fan base for the coming season?
Yes, I'm glad to do this first on your show, Chris, because I've not given any predictions anywhere else. So this is a first. I do think the Philadelphia Union are going to have a really good season. I think a better season than a lot of people in the national media are predicting them to have. I'm going to say, yeah, 4th is a respectable place for the Philadelphia Union to finish the season, which I think may shock people just because of all the turnovers, key turnovers with Kai Wagner and Jacob Glesnes no longer at the club. But look, the one thing that Bradley Cornell made a point of last season multiple times is, let's be the hunters, not the hunted.
Yes.
Playing as those underdogs. And that's where Philly teams play their best, where there is no expectations, when people are counting them out. And so this team, no expectation to win the Supporters' Shield last year, and they do just that. And so Bradley Cornell does such a good job getting his point across, and the players seem to really buy into his messaging. So I think a top 4 spot, 4th exactly, is where the Union finish. I think they make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Unfortunately, falling in that to, I don't know, let's keep it real here, probably into Miami.
Yeah.
And I could see the Union coming away with a trophy, probably in League's Cup. It's going to be tough for them in CONCACAF Champions Cup, where unless something dramatic happens in the second leg against Defense Force, the Union will have to play Club America, and then from there, probably have to play Inter Miami. I know Nashville fans might not want to hear that, but yeah, it's pretty tough going for the Union in CONCACAF Champions Cup after Defense Force. But I think League's Cup could be a real shot, real possibility for this club this season.
And we're going to finish it off here, Todd, with a battered moment. And I think I have one in mind, but if you could just let us know, as a fan of the team and as a person that follows and does a lot of work involving, Philadelphia Union, could give me a battered moment.
Yeah, can you I don't know. I'm not really sure how to take this. I mean, as somebody that doesn't consider themselves a fan, how would I describe a battered moment?
Like, basically, watching the Philadelphia Union, and you're just, you expected some sort of success, and then all of a sudden,
Gareth Bale. It's that simple, Todd. Come on, you know what it is.
Well, it could be NYCFC.
I wouldn't even say New York City. I would say it was the 7-0 thrashing of Vancouver last year, where the Union, I mean, they were in the semifinals for the U.S. Open Cup. They get blown out 7-0 by Vancouver. Then they go to Nashville, lose to Nashville, and Nashville go on to the final. So recency bias, that's what I would say. But yeah, sure. I mean, you can say getting upset at home last year against New York City. We're going on 4 years now removed.
Or the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Getting COVID.
For sure. I mean, there's
that's
a
what
lot
I was referring to.
Let's stay current. Let's not relive what's in the past. Let's remind everybody of how badly the Union got beat.
Danny wants pain. Danny wants to bring pain to you, Todd.
Giving up 7 goals, that's painful.
Yes.
That is pretty painful.
Well, Todd, we appreciate the time. I don't know about Danny because he just disappeared, but I know I appreciated the time, Todd, and thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Let everybody in the chat know where they could be able to find you and all the great work you do.
Yeah, if you guys want to pay attention to the podcast, you can get it wherever you get your podcasts, thefreekick.com. Make sure to go ahead and check out the YouTube page, youtube.com/freekickpod, where I also do goals breakdown videos, breaking down the goals that the Union scored, the goals that the Union give up, key defensive plays, key saves. Have a lot of fun just highlighting important moments in games. And the podcast is live every single episode on YouTube and Twitter as well. Then if you guys want to check out my writing, the goals breakdown videos, and the podcast all in one place, thefreekick.substack.com.
Guys, please, for in-depth coverage of Philadelphia Union, you should go nowhere else except the Free Kick Pod and check out the Substack. Again, Todd, I can't thank you more than enough. I appreciate the time you took with us, and we'll link up pretty soon in the future.
For sure. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, and don't thank Danny. Forget about Danny.
Always thanking you and Mr. Krabs. Best part of the show.
Okay.
Good time.
Yes. Thank you, Todd. Much appreciated. Well, that's Todd the God. We finished covering Philadelphia Union, and we do have one more team to preview, and that is none other than it depends on who you follow, but it's Inter Miami. That's the last team. Look at that, Danny.
The champs.
Yes, the champs. Here are the records: 19-8-7, third in East. But what matters most in the hearts is the trophy that they won at the end of the season. I don't know if it's fair that I do this or not, like put on my pink cape on here.
So, Chris, we're going to test you like we did all the other guests. In 60 seconds or less, can you give us a summary of 2025?
60 seconds or less. That's tough, man, because we talked for hours about this team. I would say the season in the beginning was nice. We were scoring a lot of goals, and then in the middle, we weren't doing that well. And then at the end, we did really good. It was basically based on a Tadeo Allende season. I don't know if that does it well enough. Can you add to that?
I thought it was disappointing at first. I think everybody wanted Mascherano out the first half of the season. Everybody said, let's get a clean break before the Club World Cup. The run in the Club World Cup kind of salvaged everybody's feelings because I think they overperformed. The way they beat Porto, they made it out of the group stage, made it to the Final Leagues Cup, got embarrassed on and off the pitch with Spitgate. So it was a very roller coaster type season, very disappointing because you wanted trophies. They ended up salvaging it with the MLS Cup, which I guess that you get that first star on the crest, it kind of salvages everything. But all in all, I felt like an up and down season.
And I wanted to talk about the key departures because the key departures is kind of like what felt like hurt the most. And losing Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba basically retiring is huge. And
Absolutely.
As far as the other departures, right, it's just people that their loan expired, like Marcelo Wagan to right back. He really wasn't even playing much. He was a backup.
Ustadi was the goalie most of the season. Baltasar Rodriguez.
Yeah, Baltasar, that's another one we lost. He was hot and cold, injured. Came in, made an impact here and there when needed with a couple bangers. Tomas Aviles, he was already out the door because he lost minutes in comparison to the year prior. Those are like the most important key departures.
Key additions?
Key additions. Minnesota gave us Dane St. Clair on the discount. Dane St. Clair came over, and now we have the best goalie in the MLS playing for Inter Miami. We also were able to get Mikael, that also fills in as a really good center back. We just got Beterame from Liga MX, and he's going to be starting at the striker position. Luis Suarez that'll put him on the bench. Well, Regilon, we picked him up. He just got injured in preseason, so we have to see how that injury pans out. That's your favorite. I don't know about David Ayala.
I don't know about that. He's basically taking over the Busquets role. Like
he is.
Well, the crazy part is that they got a whole lot of players out of that. The starting lineup that started last year, like the beginning of the year last year, I want to say they have from the same starting 11 that started last year against NYCFC. I think it's like 4 returning starters. Like the team has changed a lot from last February to
very
this
active. Yeah, very active in terms of key additions.
as far as tactical information, we'll do what we did with all the other teams. This is what what's their face MLS put up as the predicted 11. Do you think that this is what the team's going to look like?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned on Twitter, I think Regilon is injured, obviously, so that's not going to be. He's not going to be starting, but he is projected to play that position when he does come back. Noah Allen is the projected left back, if not Facundo Mura. Everything else looks pretty accurate, other than maybe Yannick Bright. Yannick Bright might be losing that spot to David Ayala. But other than that, I think it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, I agree. All right. And as we move on after that, we don't care. I know a lot of people were really sensitive when we said it, and I get it, right? Some people work at the team. We don't give a crap. Who's the most overrated player on this team?
Most overrated player on this team, I would have to say, it's weird because we didn't mention this on our show, but I think I would have to say Rodrigo De Paul.
Okay.
In terms of like,
go that way. Okay.
Yeah, I have to go with Rodrigo De Paul in terms of like what was touted when Inter Miami got him. And I guess now his expectation without Busquets in the midfield, that he has to carry more responsibility. I think he's a player that might not fit the expectations of this year.
I think we have a couple of people, because I feel like people look at Miami and they imagine Miami.
Think that they got a bunch of superstars.
Right. I would say Tadeo Allende, because I think everybody remembers his playoff run. I'm talking about like MLS wise, right? Not people that watch this team on a regular basis. On just in general, everybody's like, oh, Tadeo Allende broke the playoff record for goals. Everybody just assumes that he's an absolute baller. I think he might be a little overrated because for the majority of the year, he played pretty poorly.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing. It's recency bias. People are going to remember the goals he put in the playoffs. Everybody was watching the playoffs more intensely. Everybody watched the MLS Cup. So the recency bias doesn't help the overall picture of Tadeo Allende.
Player to watch for somebody that's watching Miami for the first time and they've never watched them before.
And I think in terms of who I would tell someone to watch out for, I would say it would have to be Beterame, because of the simple fact that he's coming in expected to be goals, and because he's been putting goals in since Liga MX, and to be able to receive passes from Messi, I think he is the guy.
I'm going to go with Silvetti, even though I know I've said it quite a few over the last couple of weeks about how the sample size is small. So, like, I feel like people are, like, overconfident. But from what I did see, I think that he can be a baller. And I'm going to bet that he will continue that run and it won't be just a fluke. So I think that if people watch Silvetti, he's going to be a baller, and that's somebody to watch for.
Yeah.
Expectations going into this year.
I think expectations are, in my opinion, I think winning the CCC is highly expected, and not just something from the fan base, but something from the ownership. And I think from the fan base would like a second star above the crest. Those are two things that I think are pretty critical in terms of the expectancy, and in terms of like sitting in the standings. Top four has to be it. I don't think we're going to be sitting at the first seed. I feel like the World Cup is going to make a big difference. So I think maybe third, second seed is more or less where I feel comfortable Inter Miami sitting at.
I feel like the expectation is as a second MLS Cup. Honestly, I think that's what the expectation is. And I think a lot of people are saying CCC, but man, like, that's not an easy trophy to win when you're playing against Liga MX teams that have no salary constraints.
Yeah, it's actually tough because you're facing off against a team that has no limit versus you guys who have to follow monopoly rules, playing with monopoly money. And it makes it a little bit harder to compete if you work within the TAM-GAM stuff without doing all that loan crud.
If they don't win the Champions Cup, is it a failure?
There's so many other trophies up for grabs. I think if there's two trophies won, regardless, I don't see it as a failure. But again, ownership is they're the ones that set the expectations as well. So I think it is fair if people say it is a failure if the CCC isn't won.
I don't know. I think that's a little bit much, but that's it. Now we're gonna end it like we did with everybody else. Battered moment. What is the battered moment for you in Inter Miami history? Short history, but do you have a battered moment?
I'll tell you the battered moment that I had, and this was personally when I went to go watch the game against Atlanta last year, the year prior, in the playoffs. That was a battered moment for me.
For me, it's watching. Was it Messi that scored when they tied the game against Atlanta, Game 3, in that playoff series where they got eliminated? They scored. Luis Suarez and Campana pushed Guzan into the net. It felt like a really good moment.
Yes.
And then things kind of fall apart just a couple minutes later. They give up the goal and everybody stops playing because they're looking for a call, and they lose the game. And that season should have been a season where they win the championship. I think the Red Bulls ended up making the championship. So I think that was the battered moment in the short history of Inter Miami.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. I was going to go with the Gonzalo Higuain, but I think just from a personal perspective, that game where we lost 3-2 against Atlanta, that impacted me. Walked out with my son. He was not in a good mood. So that was a pretty battered moment.
All right, and that's it for the 30 teams, 30 guest shows. And actually, it ended up being 29 teams. San Diego kind of ghosted us, and we weren't able to get San Diego on. But outside of San Diego, we got 29 teams, 29 guests, 6 shows, 4 nights. So appreciate everybody that joined us for our 6-part series. And if you haven't watched all of them and you want to hear a little more info on the MLS, make sure you go back and check them out because all those episodes are up now. Chris, any final words?
No, that's it, man. Let's move on. And I can't wait for this weekend. I'm just going to binge MLS all day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Also, we're going to have a prediction show also coming up. Make sure over the next 24 hours, we're going to have a prediction show where we predict bold predictions and all that other stuff, standings, who's going to win MVPs, awards, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much in the chat for hanging out with us. For those of you listening on audio, 5 stars. Tell everybody that we're doing an MLS show. And for those of you in the chat again live, thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe. Let your friends know that there's a really cool MLS show covering everything MLS. And I guess those are my last words. What are your last words, Danny?
That's it. Appreciate everybody that joined. Then until the next one, have a good one.